All right, I'm going to try this again here. Christian feminism. I don't think the devil wanted this message to go out there because I just got booted off of my online Wi-Fi, my business class Wi-Fi, which is kind of crazy. But anyway, it happened. Christian feminism, just some thoughts I had today, and we're thinking about all this stuff that's going on with the identity crisis in America and what's taking place, male and female roles, and nobody understanding what their roles are, the proper roles for male and female, and everything else like that in America. And you could lay that at the foot of the church. You can lay that at the foot of the churches because really what we've seen is this rise of Christian feminism. There's no such thing as Christian feminism, just like there's no such thing as Christian drunkards, Christian fornicators, Christian any type of sin like that. There's no such thing as those things. But there is what has happened in our churches, especially Baptist churches, which should know better, in the last, I'd say 50 years. Actually, it's been happening for over 150 years now. But back in 1830, they fought the feminist movement. And I have a History of Feminism series that you can listen to on Sermon Audio that'll tell you all those things. It's called The History of Feminism or something like that. But anyway, the point is that in that they fought feminism. There's a rise here in churches of women speaking out in churches now, of just basically the roles have fundamentally been transformed, where women are bolder than men today. And that's in the churches as well. It's hard to find bold men, but you'll find bold women that are brassy. It's not really bold. It's very brassy. And it's not feminine at all. It's not gentle. It's not soft. It's not what God has commanded a woman to be. It is absolutely the complete opposite. It is a brassness and a boldness. You see it on Facebook is like a breeding ground for it. The internet, online, like a breeding ground for it. That's why we've lost our identity in America, though, because the churches don't even know the biblical role of women any longer, or the biblical role of men. We are totally so far away from it that we cannot even impact the culture anymore. We can't even impact America anymore. Why? Because we're completely out of order. That's why. We don't know the order. And Christian feminism is part of that. There's just this absolute rise of it. It's incredible to watch. The Apostle Paul laid down in the scriptures, which all he did was restate what the law says, even as the law says also. But that women are to be silent in church, that it's not permitted for them to speak. They're not to teach men. They're supposed to be submissive. They're supposed to be under their husbands. Their husbands are supposed to be providers. The ladies are supposed to be keepers at home, that the word of God be not blasphemed. Because the word of God is blasphemed when you don't follow proper biblical order. And this rise of Christian feminism, you see it all over. I mean, I see women on Facebook, and I'm not talking about just sharing the Bible. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, I'm not saying that. What I'm talking about is this boldness and brassiness to argue with men. And then I see street preachers' wives on there, and they're actually street preachers, and they're out there preaching to people and just like reproving and rebuking men and getting on there and just like blasting them. It's unbelievable to watch these women that are supposed to be submissive to their own husbands. They're not supposed to be out there correcting men and arguing with men and everything else. They're speaking more bold than their husbands are on things. It's not correct. It's not biblical. It's not that of a meek and quiet spirit. No, but it's a rebellious. Listen, you could take. Hey, Jezebel was a religious woman. Jezebel was religious. Don't ever forget that. She was I'm going to preach a message called Jezebel was a religious woman sometime, because she was absolutely religious. She used the word of a king. She used the king. She used even the law of God. She perverted the law of God to accomplish what she wanted to. And if you want to be a lady, you want to be bold and brassy, and you don't want to be meek and quiet, and you don't want to be a keeper at home. Now, I know some can't be because their husbands don't take care of them, or they don't have a husband to take care of them, so they have to go out and work. They have to do this. I understand that. Okay, I'm not picking on you. All right, I'm talking about those that have a husband that need to follow good, proper order, and they're not following it. And they're out there trying to act like men. They're out there teaching. They're out there preaching. There's some street preacher's wife in Minnesota. Man, she is a loudmouth, stubborn woman. She is absolutely loud-mouthed. She wants to argue with men. She wants to rebuke men. She thinks she has a mandate from God to get out there and talk like a man and lift up her voice like a trumpet and preach like a man and try to reprove and rebuke preachers and pastors out there. I laugh at your rebukes, lady. I absolutely laugh at them because it's nothing more than Jezebel is all it is. Using religion, using the Bible as a way for you to usurp your common role to be submissive to your husband and not to go off arguing. Do you realize that you arguing with men is not being submissive to your husband? Do you realize you're placing that man in a position to have to correct you when he shouldn't be in that position? That he should be able to talk to your husband. You shouldn't be running your loud, stubborn mouth. Go to Proverbs chapter 7 and look at the strange woman. Loud and stubborn, not meek and quiet. Complete opposite. And I'm telling you, lady, you can wrap it all in religion if you want to. You can try to wrap it in this King James Bible right here, but you can't. You can't hide what you're doing, and you can't hide what you are. You are absolutely out of order. I don't care. Your husband doesn't have the right to put you in a position to usurp authority, his authority. He doesn't have a right to get you out of that headship and allow you to go out and speak and talk like a man and act like a man and rebuke like a man. Your husband has no authority to do that. I don't have authority to put my wife in that position, to have her out there rebuking men and speaking up against men and trying to challenge men. You have no right to do that. Your husband has no right. I don't have any right to put my wife in that position. It is absolutely unbiblical and wicked. But it goes on today everywhere. And they all wrap it up. Jezebel did the same thing. She wrapped it up in religion. She wrapped it up in standing for God. No, when you stand for God means that you follow your proper order that's found in the Word of God, and that you raise your children, and that you are quiet and meek, and that you're not the opposite of men. The Bible talks about men lifting up holy hands in the assembly, and women that they be adorned with modest apparel. Why do you think that is? Because it's the complete opposite. Men stand up and are bold and speak out. Women are in modest apparel with shamefacedness and sobriety. That's not popular today. I really don't care, though, because I've never done things because it's popular. I've tried to do them because they're right. And this feminism, I'm going to start preaching again on feminism and preaching on the proper roles of the husband and the wife and everything else, because I think it's absolutely necessary today. And there are so many that are wrapping things up. Remember, Jezebel was a religious woman. Just remember that. So when you try to take the word of God and usurp the role that God has put you in, and you try to speak out and speak like a man and act like a man and rebuke men and get on and do it, you are doing nothing more than Jezebel did. I don't care how much truth you're bringing with it. It's not your place to do. You're to teach your children. You're to be in subjection to your own husband. You're to be a keeper at home. You're not to be out there preaching to men. You're not to be out there lifting up your voice like a trumpet. Show me in the Bible where a woman lifted up her voice like a trumpet. Oh, by the way, I've covered all the whole Deborah excuses and other lame excuses that women use to try to combat or to try to justify that. And you may not like what I'm saying, and that's okay. I never cared whether somebody liked what I was saying. I only care that it's true. Listen to me. Jezebel was a religious woman. I'm going to preach on it soon. I may even touch on it next Wednesday. I may even preach on it Wednesday. I've already got the sermon for Sunday I'm going to cover. But I'm going to be talking about feminism, women's roles, men, what God requires of them and what they're supposed to do. And I'll tell you what, it's never been popular. But you know what? It's right. And we have a fundamental problem in America. And if we don't fix it with the churches, we're never going to fix it. And one of the problems is Christian feminism. Christian feminism is a problem. It's been accepted in the churches. The roles have been absolutely distorted. Hey, if you have a Christian school, yeah, women are to be keepers at home only if you have a Christian school. If you have a Christian school, then they don't have to. If they work for the church, they're not. No, that's not true. All those things have been distorted. And again, I'm not picking on ladies that have to take care of things because there's nobody to take care of them. I understand that. God understands that. Okay, we get that. You know what I'm talking about. And you fundamental Baptist pastors out there know what I'm talking about. You've compromised the Word of God and you've not preached on this. And the reason you've not preached on it because your offerings aren't going to be double offerings. You're not going to have double tithing. You're not going to be able to pay for your building, pay for your Christian school, and pay for everything else. So that's why you don't speak out against it. But God still has some men that have not bowed the knee to Baal, that still haven't suffered that servant Jezebel, or suffered Jezebel, that prophetess to seduce my servants to sin. There's some men out there that still haven't. And I know some of them, they're good, godly men that are going to preach this. And I'm going to be one of them. By the grace of God, I'm going to preach it. Just a thought for you today. Have a good day.